Hi everyone, it's Angie Coates. I'm just doing my presentation today on CSS measurement units. It was something that when I picked it, I knew very little about, so I wanted to learn a little bit more. And so I thought this would be a good topic to learn and then to share with each of you. So hopefully there will be some information in here that you'll learn that will be interesting to you. So in CSS, measuring units, measuring things it's just important as it is in any other field that we work in. And the measurement units that are they most can be categorized into these two different measurement units: absolute length units and relative length units. And the absolute length units are generally used um, in print for the most part, in print media, and the relative length units I've learned are mostly used on the web. So these are the two. We'll go through the things that were being categorized into these two units. So first, the absolute length units. They're fixed in relation to each other and they're anchored by some physical measurements. They're mainly useful when the output environment is known. And the absolute unit consists of the physical units: centimeters, millimeters, quarter millimeters, the Q there. And this is the one that I just learned about. It's a new measurement that's trying to be in use, but it's not right now supported by any browser. So it's not used right now, but just wanted to let you know that it was out there. It was a unit that was out there. And then inches, like we're very familiar with inches and centimeters, also in picas and points. And I know any of us who've used, some of when we use the Adobe, like Photoshop and whatever, you'll see that a lot there. And then pixels. And so we'll talk the most about pixels because that's the most widely used with CSS. This is just, I wanted to give you a little example of how you would see it here written. This is just an example of padding that would be written in CSS. And it was just saying here 25 pixels. And that's how you would see it written. It's as I was reading, it was called, the pixels are called the magic unit of CSS, I guess. And it's related to the current font, and it's usually not related to physical centimeters or inches either. The pixel unit is defined to be small but visible, and such that a horizontal pixel, one horizontal pixel wide line can be displayed with sharp edges. What is sharp, small, and visible depends on the device and the way that it's used. If you hold the device up close to your eyes like a mobile phone, at arm's length like a computer monitor, or somewhere in between, like if you were reading an ebook reader. Pixels is not defined as a constant length, but it's something that depends on the type of device and its typical use. So I just wanted to go into W3 schools where I can demonstrate the appearance of the pixel. And so here we can see that the font size of the H1 is set at 50 pixels. If I change that and move it to 30 pixels and we hit run there, you'll see how that shrinks that down to that 30 pixels. And if I raise it back up to maybe 70 on the H1 there, you can see how large that gets. So that's just to show you how that works. And then there's the relative length units. And those are the ones that are most used in CSS. And some of the units here that I have written down here are the percentages, the font size, which are the EM, percent, and REM, character sizes, EX and CH, and viewport dimensions. You'll see them as VW and VH, and viewport max and minimum. So you'll say the Vmax and Vminimum. These units are usually recommended when you're creating responsive layouts, and they're preferred for digital media. Their value can be related to the fonts you're using or the height and width of the view video of the window of the screen. Sorry about that. The relative units are based on three different things. The parent's dimensions, and that's where you'll see the percentages. The currently declared font attributes, and you'll see the EM and REM, EX and CH being used for those, and the viewport dimensions, which we talked about, the VW, VH, VMIN, and VMAX. The percentages are probably the easiest to understand. And it's just simply stated the percentage of the parent dimensions that you want to show on the child. And so for the font attributes EX, CX, EM, and REM, I just wanted to break down that for you. So the EX and the CH are less widely used, but just to help you understand, I didn't understand exactly. So I wanted to see right here, it shows the X height. And so we can see that it goes from the base of that font to pretty much where the lower case, the baseline there is, if you can see that arrow there. And then the EM font size and the REM is based on the root font size. And those are the two, the REM and the EM are most widely used. And I wanted to understand the difference of the two of them. I've seen them a lot, but I didn't understand the two. And so this will just kind of give a little breakdown of the small differences that they have. The EM, it uses the container's font size to calculate, and it multiplies and it cascades. Whereas the REM is root based, and they use the HTML font size as the base to calculate from, and it does not cascade or multiply. And so that's kind of the main differences in those two. So I wanted to give just an example again of how you would see written the EM. And this is just one showing the P tag with a letter spacing at 7 EMs. And so that's how you would see it written. And then we're going to go back to W3 schools again here, and just to show you here. So on this, we see that on the P tag up here, we see that the font size is set at 16 pixels and the line height at 2 EMs. And so, like I said, because it will multiply its parent, so it's going to multiply the pixels by that 2, so the 16 pixels by the 2 EM. If I were to change this to 4, you're going to see that spacing get a lot larger in there, in between there. And then again on the span down here on the font size is set at 5 EM. And over here we see the font size, the parent of that is 30 pixels. And so if I change this instead of 5, so right now it's at 0.5, so right now it's multiplying that 30 pixels by 0.5. If I change that to 2, then we see how much larger that's going to make that, because it will multiply that parent. So I just wanted to give you that quick example. And then we go on to the viewport dimensions. And those, the viewport unit, one VW is equal to 1% of the width of the viewport. It's similar to percentage, except that the value remains consistent for all the elements regardless of their parent element or parent element's width. It's a bit like the REM units are how they're always related to the root. The VH is in the same as the VW viewport width unit. It's only based on the viewport height instead. The VMIN, this is the same as the viewport width unit, only it's based on the viewport height instead. The Vmax value will be whichever is smaller at the moment, so VW or VH. In the standard use case of sizing type, this may be a more useful metric than VW or VH on their own in determining the true screen size. So here I just wanted to give you a quick kind of a breakdown of how these relative and absolute measurements are used and what their equivalents there are. So you can see that the 1 centimeter is equivalent to 96 pixels, and it goes on to, I won't read them all off to you there, but you can see the differences there. And then it's also showing kind of the example of what these are, like an EM font size of the element, EX is the X height of the element's font, just as we had gone through before. But just wanted to give you that little summary and breakdown again of what that is. So that's my presentation, and I've learned a lot about units. I think it's there's still a lot to be learned, but um, the references that I used were the W3 schools, of course, as we went back and forth on those. W3C web style sheets and CSS tips and tricks, and I left the websites for those. Also, I used SitePoint.com and Screencast-O-Matic to record this presentation. So hopefully you will enjoy this, and I will see you soon. Talk to you soon anyway.